They're jacked on Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the bow early on. Like, I love getting close and putting up.
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
We call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby,
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bulls. Just
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast?
my name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Candy.
Running that you're doing, but dude, for my, almost 50-year-old bones, it is really nice. I really like that hybrid stuff.
Yeah, are you doing like a push-pull leg program too, or are you doing like more of the traditional split where you're doing
So
specific body parts?
I'm it varies based upon the month and
Yeah.
stuff like that. During hunting season, I do very little legs because the last thing I want is sore legs when I get out of the truck at 4 a.m. So I'll do, I love lifting shoulders because I don't know, maybe it's masculinity thing. I think shoulders and back are cool. So shoulders always starts the week for me. And then I'll do usually a back day and then take a day off because my tendons and stuff can really only handle 2 days of lifting.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a chest day and then usually kind of like even during hunting season, a light sled, a lot of core, a lot of like rotational exercises. When Luke was home for a couple months, we picked up one of the landmine attachments for the squat rack. Do you have one of those?
No, but I know they are, yeah.
Oh man, I love it. I love doing the rotational exercises for the core. And then, at the end of September, I'll get back into doing a more traditional push-pull split type thing. I'm making up a bunch of weird stuff too. Like, do you follow the guy on Instagram, Judd Leinhardt, I think his name is?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I see his stuff on there.
I kind
A
of
lot
been
of
looking.
band work and like that's all
Yeah.
like day to day, keep your it's built, I think, more for like the working man. Like,
Yeah.
one thing I found about training is like if you worked hard your whole life, you can't worry about lifting heavy.
No.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I quit
Yeah.
doing heavy bench. I quit doing heavy shoulders.
Yep.
Like I just start doing, like functional weight training.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've mixed in, like right now my training is I'm doing 1 push, 1 pull, and 1 leg, but that's only
Yeah.
because I'm running 6 days a week, right?
Right. Right.
So normally I'll cut down the running and do more weight training, but for
Yeah.
now, it's just like yours. It kind of depends on what my goals are. It's kind of
Right.
it'll change depending on my goals and stuff, and it has to change and you have to adapt throughout the year. So if you're like yourself, you're putting a lot of miles in the backcountry, you don't want to be training legs.
Yeah, and
No.
even if it's not a high mileage day, I mean, like this weekend it was only like 6 or 7 mile days, but a lot of people don't understand walking extremely slowly, and like when we're stocking up on animals and they may be 400 yards away, there's two schools of thought, right? Like you can go in sounding like a herd of elk, but if you know they're bedded and you know where they are, like I kind of like to get really close before I let them know I'm a herd of elk or a big elk there, which is oftentimes 400 yards or so of not stepping on a stick, like moving around. It's like doing yoga while you're walking at 1 mile per hour. It is so taxing on the legs. Like I would rather just go for a 16-mile hike to get in somewhere deep as opposed to do that. Because I come out after like 4.5, 5 miles. I'm like, holy cow. Like
Oh,
I
dude,
am
especially when
really,
you're like, if you're going downhill, fuck,
oh,
man, it can burn. If you're
yes.
doing
And
like a slow stalk and trying to be really quiet and very cognizant of where you're stepping,
yes.
how
And I
much
do
noise you're making.
we do a lot of side hill stuff because thermals are always funky. And uh, just my school of thought, if you're on the same, parallel level as them, even if you're coming from a long way away, what the hell does it matter if your wind's going up or down if they're on the
Mhm.
same level as you? So I try to get on the same level as them. And sometimes that means going a half mile away from them to get that same elevation band and then coming in. And so that side hill, like you said, there's the step down and then you have to step up 3.5 feet to get around that branch or that bush. It's
Well, and you got to
freaking
be
yoga.
quiet while you're doing it, right? And you got a big
Yes.
pack on. And so it's
Yeah.
just like you're not just hopping over a log or a
No,
rock. You're
no,
going very
absolutely.
slow, pushing with your poles if you got them, and yeah, it's very
Yep.
methodical. But
Well,
yeah,
I never pull out the trekking poles when I'm going after an animal because I don't go in that far with an arrow nocked, but oftentimes like I have the bow at the ready and I can knock an arrow pretty darn fast because if something pops up, they're sneaking towards me and something pops up 60 yards, I want to be ready. And if I'm holding trekking poles and the
yeah,
bow is hanging from the bow hitch or whatever from the thing, like it's not happening quite as fast as it needs to happen.
no, for sure. Yeah, my poles only come out after
Yeah, me
on the way out.
too.
But
Me too.
yeah, no, it's tough, man. But yeah, no, the training, yeah, it's you definitely got to adjust as you get older, man. It's definitely
You do,
a lot more
dude.
functional stuff. But yeah, that Judd, he does a lot of that band work, which is good. I
Yeah,
do a lot of band work too. Right now, doing a lot of band work, just hips and
yeah,
core stuff.
yeah.
So training is definitely throwing in a lot of miles right now. So, but yeah, I think
I
yesterday was 27, and then this morning, like even doing. So I started doing recovery runs. So instead of rest days, you're doing running for recovery, and
yeah,
yeah, I was pretty fucking hurting this morning for sure. After a fast, I did so Saturday's my fast run, and then Sunday's my long run,
yeah.
and then Monday used to be a day off, but now it's a recovery run. So that started today. So
Oh.
yeah,
And I saw, is it 6 weeks out or 8 weeks out?
8 weeks out. So that's the last Boston qualifier for the year. So
Oh, shit, going after it, man. I love it. I
yeah.
love it. No, like I said, it motivates me. The other thing, and I know you and I have talked about this a ton, like I've had to die, like getting older, like the biggest thing for me being able to work out multiple days in a row is the nutrition.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I just say,
100%.
like, and I find myself a lot of people delete protein if it gets like if they have to cook food. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna. It's easier to do pasta with sauce, where they like default to carbohydrates. And I'm almost the exact opposite. I default to just like a protein diet, and I'll look back over the week, and I don't track my food or anything, but I'll think back to what I ate. I'm like, holy shit, there were days where I only had like 75 grams of carbs. No wonder on day three, I like am exhausted. And when that alarm goes off at 4 in the morning to get up on a regular day, I'm like, this is why am I feeling so bad? And I'll think about it like in the cold tub because I do that every single morning now. And I think I'm like, holy cow, I am not eating enough carbs. It's like painful sometimes for me
Yeah.
to like just eat rice and stuff. And I try to stay away from the breads and pastas. It's so hard for me to eat carbs. Like it could be super easy if I just like I'm like I'll just have a piece of cheesecake or a bowl of shredded mini wheats or whatever, but I don't do that. I try to eat it regular. So I always end up defaulting and eating like 400 or 300 grams of protein in a day, and I'm wondering like why I have no energy to do anything.
Yeah, you got to have the balance for sure. I find right now I'm trying not to lose any weight just when
Oh yeah.
you're running a lot. I mean, like some of these runs, you're burning 2000 plus calories on a run. So I just, but even like last night, got home and like didn't want to eat, right? You just want to drink carbohydrates and like just
Yep.
recover. But yeah, you got to get that food in you and protein
Yep.
shake before you go to bed. Like the worst thing I can do right now is be deficient on carbohydrates or protein or fat when I'm
Yep.
training, when I'm running as hard as I am. So it's like you try not to lose any, like try not to, you're going to lose weight.
Yeah.
And especially now, like it's going to start ramping up. So like my long runs will start going to like 35 kilometers and like
Oof.
faster pace and like, you know, some days 2 runs a day. So it's like, it's going to be a lot. So the last thing you want to do is be like malnourished because like
Correct.
you're going to end up burning out fast. And I found like not worrying about like, not worrying about anything and just like almost forcing yourself to eat. It's like you're almost like a teenager again, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not hungry, but it's like you
Well,
just got to get it in you.
that's what I do when I'm hunting. I mean, I'll get back and I like celebratory, even if the every hunt's successful, but even if we don't kill an animal, I get back to the truck. And if it's like not too close to when I plan on falling asleep, like if I have an hour and a half or so, the first thing I open up is like an old school can of Coca-Cola or an old school Pepsi without the high fructose corn syrup, just sugar. And I drink one or two of those because I'm like, I just need
Yeah.
calories at this point, and
Yeah.
I can get 800 calories in two sodas or two pops or
Yeah.
whatever. That's what I do. And like, I don't know. Did you listen to have you did I send it to you? No, I think I sent it to Jason Podolin up there north you and Vernon. Did you listen to that Andrew Huberman podcast about alcohol and what it does to the body?
No.
Oh, buddy,
Send it to me.
I'm gonna send it to you. It's like 2 hours. He goes pretty sciencey on it, but that podcast, and I'm not gonna lie, like got me stop drinking alcohol. When did I listen to that? Like a year and a half ago, like
Mhm.
in November or something like that. Like I listened to that, and being a biologist, like I knew what he was talking about, but I never really put all of it together that way. And I was like, oh shoot, okay, that I'm good. I'm good now. Like I'll have like a glass of wine a week or a beer a week or a glass of whiskey a week, but like it's not really part of my game anymore and has nothing to
Right.
do with religion or anything else. It's just listening to that I'm like, "Holy shit, I never put A and B and C all together to get the whole picture and then after not having it for so long, like now I'll have a beer or a couple beers at a brewery when we go out for pizza once in a while and I wake up the next morning, I'm like, holy shit, how did I like do that on the daily?
Yeah.
How did I like wake up with, even though the slightest little brain fog? It's like
Oh, I
crazy.
know. If you don't have it, like I haven't had any alcohol in a long, like pretty close to a year, not quite a year, like 10 months. I quit
Yeah,
drinking. But man, like you just like inflammation in your knees, like
everything's better.
elbows, shoulders, like everything. And
Yeah,
like, yeah, like it's funny, like, my wife, she stopped drinking, like she not stopped drinking, but she cut it way down and like no more getting drunk. But
yeah,
I was thinking about when we were in Alberta visiting my brother, her and my sister-in-law, they got into too many. And the next morning she woke up and she was hungover for 2 days. And I was like, fuck, man, I just don't miss those at all. Like
no,
I value
no.
my days way too much now to
Yep.
be like that, where you're just like wasting the day away. And it's
I
like,
try to
fuck.
get too much in a day that I can't have the first 3 or 4 hours clearing my head from the night before. Like it's
Yeah.
not worth it. And
And
that's,
I love my mornings. Like I value the mornings over any time of the day.
but
Like
dude,
if
me
I have a
too.
shitty morning, I'm so grumpy that day.
I
Like
am
so
too.
grumpy. Yeah.
I've gotten into the habit, and I know you do the cold tub thing too, but I get up like I didn't do it this weekend because the alarm was set at 2:45, and I thought that would be a little
A little
freaking
much.
ridiculous to get in the cold tub at 2:45 in the morning. But like I'll get up on a regular day, let's say 10 after 5. I walk downstairs and I'm banished to the guest bedroom during hunting season because my wife never knows what days I'm getting up at 2 in the morning, which days I'm sleeping till 5:30. And so I'll get up, I'll go downstairs, set the coffee, and go fill up the cold tub. And the water comes out of the spigot at like 46 degrees for us. So before I even put a cup of coffee in my belly, I get in that cold tub for 3 minutes and it is, I mean, my eyes could be closed, my brain not clear. Within 2 seconds of getting in that cold tub, it's like this huge, it's like a, a big wave breaks over your head of clarity. And I'm like, oh, all right. I mean, and I've done it every single day, minus those ridiculously early mornings since the middle of May. And I can't stop. It's like truly an addiction. Like this afternoon, pick Griff up from cross country practice, and he's like, "Dad, I need a cold tub." And I was like, I was feeling pretty tired this afternoon because I haven't eaten enough carbs in the past couple of days. And I was like, you know what, buddy, I'm going to get in the cold tub after you. Like, and
Hmm.
it's God, I just can't say enough about that damn thing. I mean, I love it. The $99 Rubbermaid horse trough,
Yeah,
like
I know. It's great.
it
Our
wins.
mine
And
was a little more than yours up here. We had the Trudeau tax on ours, but
yeah,
um
well, I'm on
there's
my I'm on my third one. Didn't I send you pictures this
yeah,
winter?
it's
Like
frozen salt.
froze solid, shattered the sides of the plastic. I was like, oh
Yeah.
shit. So I mean, but I love it, man. I absolutely love that damn thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed them like through these days when like it's really hot after work.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
not in the mornings, just after work. And just
Mm-hmm.
man, it just like resets your whole body because like you're working, you're laying brick and stone, moving concrete around all day in 35, 40 degrees Celsius weather.
Yeah.
And your insides, they get pretty cooking. And
Oh, dude.
it,
I
it
know.
take it's funny, like when you get in there, it takes a good minute for your body to acclimate and being like, oh my God, this is actually cold.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gets in there, you're like, oh, it's like, yeah, you don't even feel the cold for about a minute, but then after you're like, oh, and it just resets your body.
I set the timer. I actually have a couple songs I listen to, so I know where the 1 minute marks are. And usually once a minute, kind of move our whole body around, get rid of
Yeah.
that thermal layer around there. I would love to get one of those fancy cold tubs that like circulates water and you can
Yeah.
adjust the temperature, but man, I can't justify spending six
No.
grand on a cold tub.
I
I
know.
mean,
So that I do, yeah, I just do the regular tub. Like I don't do the trough right now. I do
yeah,
just the regular tub, like out of the
yeah,
faucet. Yeah. If it gets too warm, you can throw some ice in there, but I don't do it every day. But now that we're getting into the fall, I can put the horse trough out again and fill it with water and it'll be cold
yeah.
enough, which is nice because it sucks filling that tub up every
Y-
morning. But
Well, I fill it up every morning and I don't have to put the sprinklers on in the front lawn because the 100 gallons goes down and soaks the front lawn.
you
We
got
have
septic. Yeah. Yeah.
we have a strip in our front lawn where the water always drains that is at least 4 inches higher in grass than everywhere
Oh,
else because
perfect.
that's where all the water goes. So I move it every day and try to adjust it. It's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Right on.
So nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
So no luck yet for elk.
No luck yet. It's been a really awesome season though. I mean, from opening day, kind of run and gunned opening day. And I had another friend on the mountain and I texted him at, started hunting at 5 something, texted him at like 7. I was like, I can't find him, because they're kind of resident herds, even though it's a small mountain range. Like there's 5 or 6 herds, and I just couldn't pinpoint them with any of my first like 5 spots. And send him a text, and he was in an area that it really where I take Luke to kill animals in early August. And he texted me, he's like, there's 3 bulls in this basin and like 30 cows bugling. And we were a mile into another area and then like a 5 minute drive once we got out. And I was hunting with a buddy. And I looked at him, I was like, hey, we got to go like right now. And he looked at me, he's like, why? And I was like, I just got a message that there's bugling bulls like on the other side of the mountain. Like, we got to get the fuck out of here, like right now. And so I took off running. He got to the car 10 minutes after me and made the appropriate comments about my legs and my fitness and stuff like that. He's like, God damn it. And I was like, hey man, I have a lot of fun when hunting, but hunting elk, like I get a little more serious than when we're hunting bear or deer or anything else. And we got in the car. I Mario Andretti'd it up the mountain on the Forest Service Road, slammed in. I didn't even take my keys out of the car. I just grabbed my pack and started running down the trail. And I was like, are you coming? And he's like, yeah, I'll be there. I'm right behind you. And I got down and I'm in the elk, right? So there's a bull going to bed to my south. There's a bull going to bed to my north. There's one bedding directly east of me. And so I got these 3 elk pinpointed. And I texted my buddy on InRange. I was like, where the hell are you? And he's like, I'm at the turn. Which way do you go, left or right? And I thought he meant the turn that was a mile and a half down the trail, not like 200 yards down the trail. And I was like, you got to go left there at the main turn. Like I'm at the second junction. I'm gonna boogie north to find this group of animals that's there. They're the farthest. I know where the other 2 are, but I think that bull sounded the biggest. And next thing I know, like 40 minutes later, he texts me. He's like, I think I made the wrong turn. I'm in some clear cut. Like I don't know where the fuck you are. And I said, what turn were you talking about? And he said the one that's like 200 yards from the truck. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, like you're just fucking meet me at the truck in like 3 hours. Like we don't have a chance for you.
Turn
Like,
around,
it's
go
just
back, take your
yeah,
boots off,
just turn around and go have a beer and a soda
reset.
at the truck. But so got into them, and then so that was opening day, and then I've had a few evening hunts. It's been hot, man. Like
Yeah.
I know it's hot up there, but it's been hot here. Um, I have confidence. I know it takes me solo about 45 minutes if it's in a good spot to get an elk, dressed and hanging. So I'm not worried about that, but it's been hot. Like it's not a matter for me worrying about meat spoilage and stuff, but I've been putting it together so I've been doing evening hunts. Um, like showing up at 4 o'clock, hiking into a glassing point and where traditionally I found elk. And we've been in, like I said, every hunt. I think I've gone on 5 or 6 hunts now in the first, 9 days. And been into bugling bulls every day where I'm at. And I
Nice.
know other people in Idaho are not able to find bugling bulls and wondering where the rut activity is. But, half this state's on fire. But up here in northern Idaho, we've been super lucky this summer. Like smoke-free days, like like super, super lucky.
Yeah.
And so it's honestly hard on me to go out there. And then even when go sit in a bedding area where I think they're bedded like 300 or 400 yards away and set up the play, even in the shade, it's still, 86, 87 degrees. It's just I know it's not supposed to be comfortable, but sometimes it's too uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Like you walk out of those bedding areas and you get in the sun and it's, literally 107 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's like, this is bullshit. Like,
Yeah, it's tough.
and like I said, I don't worry about the meat spoiling, but when you put it all together, and I was explaining this to a buddy who wanted to hunt with me, I said, listen, we call an elk in. Let's say we get it out of its bedding area. So it's, 12:30, we shoot that animal. We go look immediately for blood at the spot, and then we walk back to where we shot from. We sit down for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, right? Maybe 45 if you're feeling like super confident. But you shoot that animal, it's running. I've only had one elk die within 30 yards of when I shot it. Like usually they run, 50 to
Hmm.
100. If it's not a good shot, who the hell knows?
Yeah.
So you let them sit for an hour when they're down. That hour, you're praying that they died in the shade, right? If they died and there's like just outside their bedding area in the sun, now they're baking for an hour dead. And then you get up to them, right? You're going to blood trail them unless you can see them with your glass. So let's say even if it's only 100 yards and you're blood trailing it the right way, that's not that short of a process. I mean, I would say it's anywhere from 20 minutes to, depending upon the blood trail and where they're at, like to an hour to cover that 100 yards to
Hmm.
get to them. So 2 hours after you shot that animal or after that animal died, it's sitting in the sun. And
Hmm.
that's my worry. So that's kind of my thing with shooting them when it's that freaking hot out. Like I
Yeah.
I don't want them sitting there. I don't want them baking and losing meat. I'd rather just wait till the weather gets good or kill them at 7 in the morning or at 7 at night when I
Yeah.
know I have a long time to let them die appropriately and they're not going to rot on me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to have this conversation with you now is like, you remember it was around this time last year when I
Yeah.
was calling you on the phone saying,
Yep.
"Hey, man, I think I got some bone spoil here from the heat." And so this
Yep.
is the scenario that we're going through. And I know I've talked about in the show, but just for people who haven't heard it or just a reminder, like it was about 38 degrees Celsius that
Hmm.
day, had elk going, got them in their beds. I shot that elk at about 10:30, 10 or 10:30 in the morning. Same thing. It took off downhill. I had to find it. So now we're about hour and a half, 2 hours realistically from
Yep.
when the time I put the arrow into it to the time I got up to where it last laid.
Yeah.
Right. And it didn't, and that was the thing, dude. It did not land. It was in a sunny spot where the sun
Yeah.
was like poking through the trees. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was still shade in that area, but like sun directly on most of it. And so
Yep.
in that last 2 hours, the sun could have been on it directly. Who knows? Right.
Right. Right.
And I did. So as soon as I got to it, cut my tag, um, took the hide off the one side, peeled it off, got, the quarters off, hung them up in the shade,
Yeah.
took the back straps out, did all the usual stuff, flipped the animal over, took the hide off, did that, right? And
Yep.
then I got it to the truck. But I mean, like, it was damn hot that day. And now it's going right into my truck. I'm a mile, kilometer and a half from to where I'm parked.
Yeah.
That's 3 kilometers round trip. And then I still have a 2 hour drive home.
Yeah.
And once you're driving, I had the coolers open and I had a canopy on. I opened the windows and I had a lot of good air circulation through there, but
Sure.
still, right? It's
Sure.
still hot air. It's still warm air,
Yes.
right? I get home and I have a walk-in cooler, hang the thing up right away. It hangs for 2 days. I go to butcher it, and then I'm like, man, this does not smell
Yep.
properly, right? And then
Yep.
that's when I'm on the phone with you and I'm like, hey, buddy, I got an issue here,
Yeah,
man. Like,
I remember, man. I'm like, hey, does it smell like milky baby vomit? Because if it does,
yeah,
that's what you got going on.
yeah, and that was it, right? And
And
that's what it smelled like.
did you end up cutting layers off until you got to a spot where it didn't smell anymore?
Yeah, I did, and it was funny. Like, so I'm pretty convinced, and I noticed that I think the part of the elk that was on the ground for the longest,
Absolutely. Yep.
it like the
Absolutely.
heat from the animal and
Hmm.
the heat from the ground alone, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the ground's so hot,
It bakes it. And
it
there's no
bakes it.
place for it to escape. Like
Yeah,
even that side that's up, even if the hide's on it, like, and that's obviously we want to
yeah,
get that off first, it's still, even if the sun's on it, right? It still has a way to dissipate some of that heat. But with that ground on it, I
yeah,
mean, yeah, it literally bakes it. And that's,
yeah.
one of
Well,
the things I say to people when they ask me, like, well, what would you do in this scenario? Like, what I would do in that scenario, and I kind of have the game plan in my head. I'm like, I would take the hind quarter off, I'd roll that bull over, and I'd take the other hind quarter off
yeah,
right
yeah,
away because that's where most of the meat is. And people do things a lot of different ways. Those front quarters, the guts aren't on them. Yeah, I know the thoracic cavities there, they're not on them. And then second of all, not to be stupid, there's like 1/3 of the meat on the front quarters that there
yeah.
are in the hind quarters. Like if you could peel that skin, halfway down the back, get that hind quarter off somehow, because it's still going to be heavy as shit, right?
Mm.
Flip it over, maybe like it's in a good spot or whatever. Flip it over, get that other hind quarter off. You know that you have 60 to 80 pounds of boned out meat that's going
Mhm.
to be good on those two hind quarters, and then you can go to the shoulders,
Yeah.
right? And the front shoulders, as well as I do, they take what, like once you get the hide off, like 5 minutes to pull a front shoulder off.
Yeah, not no time at all compared to the rear. And
Yeah.
also, like you said, like there's a lot more going on the back half of it, a
Oh,
lot more
absolutely.
heat.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say is like when you told me cut layers of that. So like on
Yep.
the inside of the quarter, the rear
Yep.
quarter, there was some spoilage on the inside of the top, the on the left rear
Yep.
quarter, which was the upside, which where
Yep.
he was laying on his right, so his left rear quarter
Was up.
was up. The
Yeah.
inside of it I
Hmm.
started cutting through that, and then I started getting too fine. The outside was fine still,
Yeah.
right? Because I that was the first one. I took the cape off, I took the hide off. It
Yep.
was started breathing, and then but still like you're one guy. You're getting the leg up on yourself.
Yep.
You're moving around. Yeah, like you said, it's 80, 90 pounds. You're moving
Yep.
around. And you got to hang it up, right?
Yep.
And not to mention the fact that from the time like that animal could have died an hour. By the time by the time I got to it, like I said, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yep. It could have died the first 5 minutes.
It could have died the first 5 minutes, but like I I've shot enough animals to know that like, you know, yeah, the arrow looked good. Not a lot of blood right away.
Yep.
Like good blood on the arrow, but not a lot of blood
Yeah.
on the ground, right? And so like the
Yeah.
worst thing you could do is bump an animal.
Absolutely. You may never find it again.
Yeah, you may never find it exactly. So, you give it some time to die.
Yep.
But in that time, there's a lot going on when it's that hot out,
Oh
right?
yeah. I
And
mean, the adrenaline's running through it. And I mean, just like you and I, we know the areas of our body part, like our body that gets hotter. Like my legs hardly ever get cold. I have a lot of muscle mass on the legs. Like my arms and shoulders get cold really fast because I don't have a ton of muscle mass there. Like those muscles are huge metabolically active things, and those hindquarters, they're huge,
yeah,
right? I
huge.
mean, a lot of people will say like, I don't know why it is, but I always lose muscle on that sirloin tip, that football roast. And I mean, look at the size of the freaking football roast. So like some of those bull elk have 30-pound football roast, right? Like
Yeah.
30-pound sirloin tips. Like no shit, that's going to go bad. It's still metabolically active. After it dies, that bone's still producing heat.
Mhm.
And that muscle being, 8, 10 inches thick on some of those animals, it's not getting the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Right. So when you cut it away, did you eventually get to a spot where you didn't have to throw the whole muscle? You ended up with a little bit that was still salvageable on those muscles that smelled bad.
Yeah, eventually I got up to it, and then it was like I didn't lose the whole thing, but like it wasn't a lot on the inside. Like I started cutting through it, like just shaving it off. Probably, I started with like an eighth of an inch, then a half an inch, and then it
Yep.
kind of still smelled, and a quarter of an inch, and then it was good, right? So I still got
Yep.
quite a bit on the front.
Good.
Basically the whole left side, like the front shoulder. full front whole shoulder was still money. It was
Absolutely.
good. The back strap was good.
Yep.
It was just the rear. It was that rear quarter where it was cooking from the inside. And you know what it's like you shoot an animal in the wintertime is a good example. Like, man, ever see how much steam is coming out of that thing? And
Dude, when I
for a
shoot an animal in
long
the
time.
winter, I'm happy to put my hands on the inside of it because
Yeah.
it's warm. My
Warm.
fingers, I get my feeling back.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that heat stays in there for a long time. Like you
oh,
think
yeah.
I've shot at whitetails in minus 20 degrees Celsius. 2 hours later you find the animal
Yeah.
and you cut it open, it's still hot in there, like hot,
Yep.
hot. Like, you know what I mean? Warm. But I mean, luckily enough,
Absolutely.
there's snow on the ground where it's accepting some of that heat. It's getting cooled,
Yeah.
so it's not as bad. And deer aren't nearly the size of elk. You know what I mean? That's
Correct.
a lot of heat in there.
There is. There is.
I
I
think.
feel like if someone kills an animal and I maybe some of the listeners are going to curse at me for this one, but like I feel the back straps, if your back straps are bad, you did something really, really wrong with your hunting or your processing of that animal. Like you mentioned the back straps being good and the front shoulders being good. Front shoulders, like you might lose like the one on the ground if you just
Yeah,
take
I
for
did.
freaking ever,
Yeah,
and that
I
that
did
makes
lose that.
sense.
Yeah.
But the back straps, like I all the animals I've done, like I said, I haven't ever lost meat. Well, since I got really serious about this, a little over a decade ago. I'm sure when I was younger, like I ate spoiled meat off a deer that we killed, but just not knowing any better. But I've killed animals on high heat warning days down here in the States and get it off. But I you should really never lose those back straps, right? They're
Mhm.
the bone that they're sitting on is completely separates them from the guts, and it's not a thick that spine. Those vertebrae aren't hugely metabolically active like the femurs are and stuff.
Mhm.
Like just if you lose a back strap, you've done something really wrong. Like
Yeah.
you've done something really wrong, and you probably need to get some advice on how to not let that happen again. Because if you lost a back strap, you lost a hell of a lot more than just that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot, like there's a whole rib cage there, the inside of the ribs, like there's a lot protecting that for sure.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think, looking back at that lesson that I learned, I mean, you know, I would still shoot that elk in that spot. If a 6 point elk's walking, 6x6 elk's walking in on me,
Yeah.
uh, I'm gonna put an arrow in him. Like
100%.
yeah, I'm gonna shoot it, right? And it's gonna run and die where it dies. There's nothing that's out of my control, right? The only thing
Yep.
I could not do is pass on that elk, but like, let's get real, right? We're out there
Yeah,
to hunt. We're out.
exactly. We're out there to kill animals and
Yeah,
to put them in the freezer. And then,
yeah,
sometimes, the cards fall in a
yeah.
shitty manner. And I mean, so what would you have done different with your processing of that elk? You can't go in earlier because then if you
No,
bump it, I mean, you may bump it to
no,
frickin'
I'm
Alberta.
fucked.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then
Like,
you're never gonna like, and then, but the thing is, you bump it, it's only gonna sit longer. Right
yeah. And
now,
that
it's sitting in
animal,
the sun longer. Right? It
it's
can.
it not only is it sitting longer, then that whole pulse of adrenaline is going to get
Mhm.
released, and it's going to really make that meat taste funky. And people are going to argue and say like, oh, adrenaline gets released when you shoot them anyway. And I would say, there's a bit of bullshit in that. Like you have shot plenty of animals with an arrow. I've shot plenty of animals with an arrow. I've shot animals with an arrow, and they run because they hear the bow,
Yeah,
not the arrow go through them. And
yeah,
they run 40 yards away, and then they look at me like they're not scared at all. They have no idea that arrow just went through
exactly.
their two lungs. And
Yeah.
then they start coughing blood. That's not releasing any adrenaline. And then they just fall over. They suffocate on their lungs
Hmm.
fill up with blood. So I would argue that they're actually not filled with adrenaline. Like now, if you shoot them and then they go bed and then you come in on
Bump
them and
them.
they're still alive and you bump them and they chase, now they're full of adrenaline.
Yeah,
Right now, they're what I refer to as a dark cutter, and that meat's going to be darker and it's going to be full of adrenaline. And that's when people they text me on the Instagram page and say like, my meat tastes like shit. What did I do wrong? And then we have to go through the whole hunting scenario as to what did you do? Well, I
yes.
really wanted to see if I shot him, so I followed the blood just for 50 yards, and he was like right there, and
Right
he
there.
saw him, and
Yeah.
he jumped up and ran. I'm like, okay, he would have died at 50 yards had you
Hmm.
just taken like what I do. I don't know if you do this, but after I shoot, I go where the animal is standing, look for blood. If there's blood, I walk out immediately. If there's not blood, I still walk out immediately
Yeah.
and take a picture and drop a point. I make a note as to which way, and then I take my boots off
Yeah.
because if my boots are on, I get antsy and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh
Right.
shit, but if my boots are off, I'm going to chill out for a little bit. So
Yeah.
I take the boots off.
Yeah. Unless I see the animal drop, or you know what I mean, I hear
Yes.
him like
Yes.
legitimately crash and die. I hear him, or do
Yeah.
the if it's a bear, I hear the death moan.
Yeah.
I go up, I grab my arrow, I look at the butt, I do a quick scan around, and then I back out.
Yep.
I've learned my lesson by getting, like, oh, I think it was a good hit, and then trailing them. Sure as shit, you bump them, and then you never find them, or else it takes you an extra day to find them.
Yep. And then you've lost all the meat,
Yeah,
right? The only thing you
exactly.
get then is, the Euro mount for your
Hmm.
wall.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And then it's like, well, what a waste.
yeah. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
would say, I've been debating with a couple different guys in the hunting community about this. They argue that there's a way, and I know how to do it, that if you take the hind quarter off, like getting it off fast is more important than getting the hide off.
Hmm.
So there's, you can slice it open on the inside of that leg, spread the hide, and then take the leg off and kind of cut through the hide at the top. And their argument, and I'm not going to test it this year, but I'm going to time myself. So we're going to do some new filming for the app this winter. And what we do is we go to one of the elk ranches and buy a cow or two and film it that way because we try to film in the field,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean,
Oh yeah.
hunting videos in the field are fine. When you're trying to put together educational content in the field,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not suitable for that. I think you're
nope.
better off, yeah, you're better off doing it properly and like, hey, this isn't about how to kill something. This
Right.
is
And
about how to deal with something after you killed it.
that's what I always say with the app. Like, I'm not teaching you how to hunt. I'm teaching you how to get
Yeah.
everything off your animal once you've killed it. So, but they say, and I'm going to test this, that if you get the leg off, even if the hide's still on it, that's going to begin the cooling process. And so, we've debated back and forth. I'm like, really though, if you're proficient at getting the hide off, it takes maybe an additional what? Like for the hind quarter, like my advice, get that hind quarter if possible, roll that animal. And
Hmm.
usually if one hind quarter's off, you can grab that bottom one and pull, I always
Yeah.
call it dad strength, right?
Hmm.
When Wyatt pisses you off, all of a sudden, like the amount of strength that comes in you, you're like, oh my God, kid. Right. Like
Yeah.
you can roll that elk if it's in a position to do that and get that other takes maybe 3 or 4 minutes to pull that hide off,
Yeah.
right? Like the only way that I could see doing it with the hide on being useful and getting that hind quarter off with the hide on is if you killed it in a dust bowl, right? Like if it died in one of its dust rolls, like where they do a slash pile burn. And
Hmm.
I don't know if they do those up in BC, but down here they'll log, put everything in a pile, and then burn it. And those elk use it to dust themselves up to keep the bugs and bees off of them and stuff.
Right.
So if for some reason it died in something like that, then I could see leaving the hide on, taking it off simply because it'll keep the meat cleaner, and then I could pull the hide off later. But really, it takes what, like to skin a whole elk, like a side of an elk, like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I think 5 minutes to really skin the elk if you're knife sharp.
Yeah, if you're just taking it off, like I mean, obviously if you're doing a full mount or something like that, it's going to take a little longer. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just taking it to get the meat off, and yeah, like that's what I should have did. Like looking back at it now, I think, instantly slice it, pull the hide up, cut that off, hang it up, grab the leg, and
Yep.
like just like depending on its body position, use its body to help maneuver it over, get the
Absolutely.
yeah, and then just right away before I even once it's lifted up, I think I would cut it down on the inside of the inside, like the femoral artery, cut
Yep.
that, and then take my knife, slice it up to its knee, and then
Yep.
pull the hide off. Because instantly, once I cut that, it's going to start letting some air. It's going to start
Absolutely.
letting
It's
some
good.
heat out, right?
As
Yeah,
soon as you cut that femoral artery and that blood starts spurting out, I
yeah.
mean, you could put your hand there under that blood and feel like
Feel the
that blood's
heat.
coming out at 98 degrees, right?
Yeah,
It's coming out at the same
exactly.
temperature
Yeah.
as us. And
And
then,
it's going to lose that blood, which is hot. So I think that's what I would
absolutely.
do now is get it in a position where I can get it up like on my shoulder, take my knife, cut that femoral artery before I even start taking the hide out, then take my knife on the inside up to the knee, and then just, hard as I cut a few holes, get my fingers inside the hide so I can grab it and pull,
Yep.
and then just start cutting and not worry about if I'm getting it all. If there's a little bit of hide left on it, fine. And then
Yeah.
just peel that back and then pull it out and get it up. And then what I would do too is make a mid cut along the femur bone and just
Yep.
to open it up and to let a little bit more air out.
Absolutely.
And then worry about the front, and then the like we talked about, the back straps last.
Yes, and that's
That's what I
it.
would do.
That's what I would say. The back straps last. Worry about the front.
Yeah.
And so I got a direct message from a guy that's going down, I think, to the San Juans to hunt elk in Colorado, and it's hot down there. And he said last year he killed an elk down there and he deboned it in the field and it tasted like shit. And he's like, "What do you recommend I do?" And I said, I personally, yeah, if you're 8 miles in on a solo hunt, like getting rid of that 15 to 20 pounds of bone can help you on the pack out. But I personally think it ages way better if you're able to leave that meat on the bone. So in regards to just, and then I'm not saying just have more toughness and hike it out, because I mean it's harder. I prefer hiking it out while it's on the bone. It sits in the pack easier and stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
But what you said is key, like to prevent bone spoilage. Like, okay, I killed it in the morning, but I still have to hike it out, and it's in the sun, and it's going to be 100 degrees. You're right. Slice down, like find that sirloin tip, that big football roast. Slice on each side between like the top round and bottom round on each side of that sirloin tip. Get down to that bone, just touch the bone with the tip of your knife and slice down. Or, and I've told a couple friends this, I was like, what the hell's the big deal if you slice right down the freaking center of that big quadricep, that big sirloin tip? And they're like, well, I want to keep it as a big roast. And now goddamn well when you freeze that thing, you're cutting it into 3 to 5 smaller roasts anyway. No one is freezing a 30-pound roast because what in the hell are you actually going to do with it?
Yeah.
Well,
in my situation too, it's like, would you rather have, a couple small ones or none of them? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that was where I was going with that. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you're either going to do it and get all of it, or you're going to leave it whole and it's going to rot, and you're going to be really pissed off when you're doing it, and you're going to have little slivers of meat left. Like, in worst case scenario, I mean, do it like a samurai warrior. Like, slice it as many times as you feel you need to slice it. I don't know the magic number. Like, if I were to say like 2 times is enough, and then someone does it 2 times and they, message me like, "Hey, fucking my stuff still tasted like baby vomit. Like I had to throw half of it away." Like,
Well,
depending upon depending upon the
Yeah.
heat, I mean, fucking put 6 slices in it if you have to really let all that go. Like, if it's the difference between losing it and
What's the
not
difference?
losing it, I'm dicing it up. And
I'd take steaks all day. I'll take it,
Yeah,
I'll cut it a whole bunch and
absolutely.
just take steaks, whatever, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
But
if it's a cut that's not like, okay, so you messed up the top round, which is a good steak, you put a couple slices down it. Well, now you got steak bites. Now you got little 1-inch steak cubes, which are absolutely freaking delicious as well. I mean, I think whatever you need to do to preserve that meat is the way to go about that.
Yeah, I agree. It is just one of those things, and it's unfortunate, but like I said, would I take that shot again knowing it was that hot? Absolutely. Like, I'm not going to pass on the 6x6 bull.
Well, here's a little thing I was just thinking about when you were talking about rolling it over, because I got into this scenario before. If someone does this after listening to it, like, oh, hey, that's a great idea, I'm going to do that. One of the things you might want to do first, the way you're going to roll it, rotate the head first, because those antlers can get stuck up and like its neck will only twist so far. If you rotate that head, right, like twist it all the way over so it's facing the way you want, then picking up that hind quarter that's on the ground and flipping it over the side that you just cut off is going to be a hell of a lot easier. Because if that head is still facing the other way, that's going to be a huge anchor for you trying to get. And then what else you're going to be doing? The whole thing's going to want to come back to the direction that the head's pointing. So turn that freaking head, somehow get the head facing the way you want to go. And I'm not talking like move its nose that way. I'm talking like legitimately turn its head first.
Yeah.
So then the whole body will flip over so much easier.
Yeah, grab those antlers and pull up. And even if you can too, if you're in a spot where it's really hard to hold, if you take the front side that's even laying down a bit, just give that a tug. Get it up a little bit so its shoulders up a bit. And then that'll make it easier too. Anything you can do. I mean, when you're by yourself, it's pretty, it's tough, but you got to just like fight through it and get it off. Like, you know what I mean? You just don't have time. Like I remember I've shot moose where it's like, you know, 2 feet of snow on the ground and
Yeah.
but it's so cold and it's just like you're in the snow. You're like, well, I'm going to do this really easy, right? You take your time with it. You take the head off. You know, do I want a shoulder mount? You're
Right.
taking your time. You got lots of time. You know, you're like you said, you're putting your hands inside of its stomach
To
or
warm
inside
up.
or you're sliding it up on its rib cage underneath its hide just so you can warm your hands up because you can't
Mm-hmm.
feel them anymore, right?
Yep.
But you know, that's not the reality of it. You know, when you're hunting things like early season mule deer, elk are the big one, I think, just because of their size and
Yeah.
how much heat they have, and just the topography they live in, and they rut early. It's
Yep.
such a bigger animal than even a big mule deer. I mean, you can maneuver a deer pretty easy by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, a big mule deer, you're looking at what? And I'm not a mule deer hunter, I'm a whitetail hunter, but like you're looking at what, like 250 is a big deer.
Yeah, yeah, 300
And
pounds
I
most.
mean, I was looking at my buddy James Nash. I don't know if you follow his Instagram page. He's fantastic at Six Ranch Outfitters, Kevin. You'll love him.
I'll check them
Um,
out.
but he's a butcher over in Enterprise, Oregon, and with me running the mobile butchering thing, we communicate a lot about different things. And he's also, I think he guides. I'm not sure about that. Don't kill me on that one. But they bring their elk out whole, and he's been weighing. So for comparison, a 300 pound is a huge mule deer or a big mule deer. The average elk that they've pulled off, the average bull they've pulled off their mountain this year is 750 pounds.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's going to
substantial
be
difference.
work. It's a
Yeah.
huge difference, right? And he said that's about 50 or 60 pounds smaller than the animals that they pulled off last year on average. I
Mhm.
mean, so you're looking at that 6 by 6 elk, you're looking at, depending upon the feed, like 750 to 900 pounds, depending upon, and that's a big animal. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of movement. I don't know many people that can deadlift, 7 to 800 pounds that can
Yeah.
still hunt.
Well,
So
and you, like we were talking about, you still have to get that out, right? Like
you do.
you still have, a kilometer and a half, 2 kilometers
Yep.
to the end of the trail to get to your truck. And then like in my instance, I still had a 2 hour drive home.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was what I was going to say too. Like I'm yet to find the perfect cooler, right? Like
Yeah.
I like the 210 by Yeti, but the problem is it sticks above my bed rails. And
Mhm.
so I hate that. I hate it sticking above my bed rails. The 125 coolers, you can fit boned out meat. You cannot fit like two hindquarters in there, like on a big bull elk. They just won't fit. There's a couple 165s and 225s out there that I haven't got my hands on yet. I'm just yet to find the perfect like hunting cooler. But to your point of driving home, if I know I'm hunting like Tuesday night, Thursday night, then the weekend, I'll stop at the gas station and put 5 blocks of ice, not
Mhm.
not cubed ice, but 5 blocks of ice. And yeah, maybe I kill something on Friday night and that ice has been sitting in there 5 days and I have to drain the water before I throw it in there, but the cooler's cold at
Mhm.
that point, right? And then the other point I was going to make with getting the hide or getting the quarters off, like I always preach, clean, cool, and dry meat, right? That's key. It, I can pass on the clean.
Yeah.
Like if it comes down to it and I pull that quarter off and like then running around trying to find a place to hang it, trying to find this because I don't want to throw it in the duff, the pine duff or the leaves or even dust or whatever. I mean, I have contractor bags and all that other stuff. Sometimes the shit just gets thrown in the duff. Like
Yeah.
because it's out there, I'll put a couple sticks up, I'll throw it in the duff because then what you have to do when you get home that night or the next day, you just have to shave that dirt off. You're going to shave
Yeah.
that top part of the meat off anyway as it ages. So shave it off before you put it in your fridge to age it. So if there's one of those things you're going to sacrifice, I would sacrifice the clean to get the meat off and let it cool. Like
Yeah.
put cool above everything else.
Yeah. I agree too. And like, that's what I was saying, not really, how I would do it now, not really give a shit if I'm getting the whole hide off, just get it
Yep.
up, get it hanging, and then, make a cut in it, make 2 cuts in along the femur bone and just
Yeah.
get it up, let air get into it. And
100%,
then,
man.
and I hate, one of the things too is I use game bags, but then I hate my pack being covered in blood. So I
I
always
do
put them
too.
in contract, like I'll put them in
Yeah.
a black contractor bag. I'll put the game
Yep.
bag in a black contractor bag, put it in my
Yep.
backpack. Those
Yep.
are things that you're gonna have to sacrifice, just
Absolutely.
put it in the meat shelf, let it keep air, because if it's warm in a plastic bag, it's just gonna keep, it's just gonna stay warm.
You know,
So
I
some of the
haven't
things you're gonna have to sacrifice.
I haven't tested this yet, but I've been talking to a couple other meat scientists out there about getting meat wet, right? So when you get meat wet, you don't want it to stay wet. So I'm thinking of this scenario, like say you kill an animal and it's just your scenario and it's hot as balls out, but there's a creek or something close by. Like, no, after talking to these guys, what I would do at that point, if I was close enough, I'd get everything off first. I would probably throw the freaking things in the creek, in the game bags. Like I wouldn't put them in a contractor bag. I wouldn't, and people are probably gasping at that, thinking, no. So you want it to stay dry, but what the hell good is it staying dry if it's rotten from the inside?
Yeah, if it's cooking
Because so
already.
what I'm going to do is throw it in the creek, let it sit in there for 10, 15 minutes. That water, again, I'm not saying a wallow. Don't throw it in a wallow,
Yeah, running
right?
water, wanting
Running
clean
water,
water that you would
clean,
drink.
absolutely throw it in the creek, even if only part of it's submerged. Let that water run over it, cool it down. It's in the game bags, and then put it on your pack, pack it out. And when you get to the truck or when you get close to the truck, you're probably going to have to make multiple trips. Hang that up. As long as there's air flowing around
Yeah,
it, it's going to dry it out. That's going to save you a shitload of meat as well. And if you're
yeah.
able to make a couple cuts to the bone and then put it in the creek, it's going to cool it off. And
Hmm.
yeah, you're going to have to trim that meat that probably came into contact with the water, but it's not going to look like that meat that is soaked, in the
Yeah,
bottom
that's
of a
been sitting
cooler.
at, yeah. It's not
That
going to look
it's
at that
totally
steak that
different.
was sitting at the bottom of the
Yeah.
cooler after 10 days of camping. Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
know what you're
no.
saying.
So I would say worst case scenario, again, some of the things you have to sacrifice. I would throw the damn thing in the creek and I
Yeah.
would let it cool off. Like maybe if it was, I mean, some animals, like, when you shoot them in gut shots in particular, they tend to run to water from my experience,
Yep.
right? And so if you're near running water when that animal dies, take that hindquarter off and I would probably chuck it in the creek while I'm getting the other hindquarter off. Get that other hindquarter off, chuck it in the creek and hang the first one up and let it dry just so it cools off if it's hot as hell out there. You know,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
again, this is kind of worst case scenario
Hmm.
survival type
Well, and that,
stuff.
yeah, that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about like what if, because it does happen, right? And like,
It happens almost on the regular,
I've
really.
packed a lot of animals out, right? And I mean, I've made bad shots on animals and never been able to find them. I've found
Yep.
them, 5 days later, and like you said, all you're getting is a euro amount out of it. And unfortunately, shit happens when we're out there, but we're out there to kill animals, and like it's not
Absolutely.
always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be, a perfect broadside shot where he's sitting
Right.
there and you shoot him and he runs 5 feet or 15 yards and
Absolutely.
drops, and then it's a nice cool 8 degrees out and you get all the time in the world, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't happen like that. I mean, you got to deal with what you're dealing with. So
It kind of like in
um
your pack, you have your emergency med kit, you have all the
mhm.
stuff for the what ifs. Like you have to have in the back of your head and this conversation is spurring a new like page on the app, like the oh shit scenarios, right? The
Yeah, yeah,
OSS is like, okay, what do I do? Here's a list of things of like if everything has gone wrong with where this animal died and that, like I need to get a page on the app like
yeah,
that
yeah.
for
Well,
next hunting season for sure.
all these are,
Because
it's good information, right? And like
yeah,
that's why I wanted to get you on and talk about this now, because like we're getting head over heels into hunting season. This is
yeah,
going to happen to some guys out there. Like, learn from my mistakes, right? And like I
yeah.
talked to you, and like you and I went through this. I called you multiple times. I had you on the phone for like an hour, and you're like trying to explain it to me what I can get out of it, right? And
Well,
so,
yep. I mean, the other thing I would say, and I texted you, and I experienced it this year, and I'm gonna I'm gonna put together for the Salt Lake Hunting Expo this coming February an FTB powder, and I think we've already crossed the explicit line in this, but I'm gonna make a powder called Fuck Them Bees and sell it at the Salt Lake Expo for like $1 a bag or whatever. Like you have to have an emergency thing in your kill kit that if your animal falls on a yellow jacket nest or you start to get swarmed with bees, it's horrible. I got stung 17 times in August doing Luke's elk. Like I think I told you I got stung so many
Yeah.
times. We were 200 yards from the elk packing in, and he stopped me and he was like, "Dad, you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've actually felt a lot better." And he's like, "Set that meat down, just get to the truck." And he carried three-quarters of the elk out himself in a couple trips, which is great. And then even when we started the drive home, he looked at me and he said, "Are you going to be okay to drive?" I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm kind of stumbling on my words. I'm like, I'll be okay." "Well, you've driven before, bud." And he's like, "Dad, I've driven 20 miles per hour in our neighborhood." And I was like, "Well, 65 on a highway is actually probably easier. I'll know by the time we get off this Forest Service road if you need to." And fortunately, I came around. But so the down and dirty secret to keeping the bees off, and I've said this multiple times on Instagram and everything else, like go to Costco, or do you guys have Costco up there, right? Or no?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, go to Costco and get the coarse ground black pepper. I just had to buy another pack of it because we killed something, and I had to use what I had. It's $4.49. So 4.49 US dollars. So like 7.50 for you guys up there. The big hard tub of coarse ground black pepper, dump it in a Ziploc bag and put it in your kill kit. And because you're going to kill an animal in the hot sun, there's going to be no bees around it. You're going to get your picture, you're going to hug and do your thing. And as soon as you pull that hide, you're going to be like, where in the heck did all of these
Oh,
freaking bees come from?
the
They,
wasps this year are
the,
brutal. So it's
the
funny you say that. Like up here,
oh,
it's
yeah.
just gnarly with wasps this year. And yeah, you're right. Like soon as they get
Yep.
a
Scent
smell
of
for that
blood.
meat,
They're on it. And they don't care if it's your arm, a hot dog, or the meat on that animal. They're going to eat. They're going to like chew it. And so that coarse ground black pepper, as soon as you pull the hide off, dump it all over the carcass. And I know it's not salt. It's not going to flavor the carcass, anything else. And you're going to take that. We just talked about getting it dirty and taking that
yeah.
top layer off anyway. It's not going to keep them all away, but it's going to reduce them by 90 to 95%.
Oh, that's
So
good.
instead
Yeah.
of having like 50 wasp on it, you're going to have like 5 occasional ones around there in an area
Yeah.
that
Which
didn't
is a
get
lot
covered.
more easy to deal with. Wow.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I mean that is the like there's other additives you can put in it, but all of it is food safe. So even if you don't get all the black pepper off, I mean, it's a freaking piece of black pepper, right?
Yeah.
We put
You
pepper on
season it
anything.
anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's also again, secondarily, if you're in the backcountry and you're going to eat the tenderloins, you could season it with pepper when you put it on the blazing hot rock as well.
Yeah.
But the black pepper is key because so here's one. There was an article in our Associated Press actually today. No, yesterday. Couldn't have been yesterday. I was hunting. So it had to be today about the wasps. Like, why are there so many?
Mhm.
Whatever. So we had a really low snow year down here last year. And actually a fairly mild winter. We had like a little stretch of like 5 days where it was
Yeah.
really, really cold, just kind of like you guys did up
Yeah.
there as
Same
well.
with
But it
us.
was really mild. So what usually happens, the cold weather and the snow, then the runoff and everything kills the majority of wasp each year. So each year a fresh brood of wasps come out. So what the scientists, I don't know if it's at WSU or Gonzaga or whoever, kind of in their research surmise is that we didn't get the huge wasp and yellow jacket kill off in the winter because of the extremely mild winter. So we're
Mm,
seeing a lot of 2-year-old wasps out there, whereas usually it's all, their 1 year life cycle. So they actually were able to overwinter. So you
yeah.
put a whole new brood on top of a 70% survival rate, you have 170% more animals
Yeah.
flying around trying to eat you than you normally do.
That would
And
explain some of the big fuckers too, because I killed one
dude,
in
right?
my living room that was literally, dude, it was the size of my fucking thumb. It was
I
like this big.
know,
I
dude.
caught
It's
it. We thought it was one of those giant Asian
like Asian
hornets.
hornets. Yeah.
Yeah, so I caught it with I caught it with a glass, and we're looking at it and we're like, I was like, holy fuck, that thing is huge. Like it was massive. And then we're at the archery shoot, crazy
Yeah.
thing. We're all sitting there, and all of a sudden, this like a massive dragonfly that was like 5 inches long, no shit, it falls to the ground.
Yeah.
And we're like, what the fuck? And so I get up out of my seat and I'm looking at it,
A wasp was
and,
eating it.
and there's a wasp that's probably almost 2 inches long, no shit, eats eats the it ate the dragonfly in half and was gonna fly it away. And just I watched the whole thing. I'll send you the video, dude. It's gnarly. It cut the whole
That's
thing in half.
badass.
I'll send it to you on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it was gonna fly away. And then as soon as it was gonna fly away, I put my foot on it. I was like, no, fuck, you're not living.
You're not making it
You
at
don't
that.
need,
So
yeah, we gotta get rid of that.
yeah, no, and I noticed the same thing. Like the wasp, like a lot of them the sand are freaking really huge. I mean, they're never really small, but they're not as big as what I've seen. They're also angry as shit this year.
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
they're
I
just
got stung so many times, like on these 3D shoots I was going around with Wyatt, man, like 12 times that went on one arm. I'm like, are you
yeah,
kidding me now? Like, what the
I know. And like I said, when I got 17 with Luke, I mean, my bald head looked like something from a horror movie. There were
Oh, my
nodules all
my
over
brother
it.
got one right on his eye and his whole face swelled up. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
freaking gnarly.
so yeah, that's one of those other things. Like people don't think about it. Like they put their knives, their twine, their ribbon to mark blood and stuff like that. Throw black pepper in there.
Yeah, that's a
I
good tip.
mean, it's just easy, cheap, and it could save you a lot of pain in the ass. Like there's nothing worse than getting stung by a wasp when you're trying to do an animal,
Even
especially if
dealing
you're
with them, fuck.
dude,
Just
especially think, I mean, when you're in one of those critical spots, you're like your hands holding all that meat and you're shaving the pelvis, and all of a sudden you like the tip of two or three of your fingers get tagged by wasps. The only thing you want to do is rip your hand out of there, but the blade of the knife so close, and you know I may go deep in a finger with the knife. Like
oh,
they're horrible. There's so many scenarios in which it could go bad with those wasps.
yeah. That's a great tip. I think I'll go pick up a thing of black pepper from Costco, get my wife to. It's probably 12 more like $12 here.
Yeah,
Or
your
ours.
shit's really expensive, man.
And our
Like
dollar. And
I,
we get
I
taxed on tax on tax. So we got like
dude, so
12
do we.
taxes.
Man, don't get me rolling on that. You're gonna make it hard for me to sleep. I'll get so angry. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and I get to experience because Luke's living up there, so we'll go grocery shopping when we go up to visit him and stuff like that. I'm like,
Isn't
who
that
can
debate going on tonight?
is that the and you're talking our
Dude,
presidential race, right?
dude,
The
I
shit
don't
show
give a
continues
fly
down here,
I
bro.
don't give a flying fuck who wins. Like I live in Canada, right? Like we got our
Yeah.
own shit up here. It was funny because like right after Trump got assassinated, I put out this
Try
oh shoot.
attempted assassination. Don't
Oh,
say you
sorry.
got
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you know what I mean. Like
Yeah, I
attempted
know what you mean.
assassination.
Yeah.
I put out this thing, I'll shoot my bow, and I said, well, I'm not gonna miss my target, right? Like a
Oh
joke.
fuck.
And
Dude,
then
you
some
probably
guy
got in
wrote on
trouble.
me and he's like, oh, I guess you're voting for Biden or something. Hey, and I'm like, no,
Oh
I'm in
God.
Canada, you fucking I'm in Canada. Sorry, buddy. He's like, what difference does that make? And I'm like,
Okay. Well, that guy shouldn't
you're
vote if he doesn't know what
you're
what
fucking
difference does that
retarded. I live in
that
Canada, pal. I
hey,
like
that
I hate to burst your bubble, but what happens in the United States, I mean, it does a little bit affect, but like realistically,
it's
our
more just
policies and government run our country. Like it
it's
doesn't
more
make a
just
flying fuck.
it's more of a sitcom for you guys that you
It's
get
pretty
to
funny,
watch
but
unfold.
like, yeah, I mean, we got a good guy. He's going to be challenging Trudeau, so I think Trudeau's going to get the axe finally. So it's
Oh,
good. But
really?
yeah, all
How
he has
long's
to
he
get
been been in office up there? Like as long as
almost
I
10
can
years.
remember. I was
Yeah,
gonna
9 or 10 years. But
and is that role, is that a as long as you're elected, like there's no term
yeah,
limit or whatever up
no,
there?
you can
No
be
shit.
up here as long as you can. So like Harper, he was in there for a decade, and then people just they want to see a new face, right? And I think that's why
Yeah.
Trudeau got elected. And then I mean, the ball got rolling with him, and then like I don't think the Conservative Party had the right guy running the party, but now they
Right.
do.
Yeah.
And I think and then the NDP just stopped their coalition with them, so now
Uh-huh.
the Conservatives can throw a no confidence vote in, and hopefully
Yep.
we can get an early election. So we'll
I
see.
have no idea what's going to happen down here. I mean, for your Canadian listeners, like, and the the
I
friend
fucking love it, man. I
the
love it.
American listeners are going to be with me. Like, I will tell you, when that assassination attempt happened, I texted all my friends. I'm like, well, that pretty much seals the deal. No problem
Yeah,
whatsoever. But the new thing that happened with the Democratic Party, I've never seen something like this in my life. I've never seen such an overwhelming support for somebody. And again, I never share political views. So I gave my Trump view and now my view on Harris. Like the view from all of my Democratic friends, and no one knows my stance, and there's a reason for that because jobs and everything else, right? I can't talk about that in academics and blah blah
yeah, yeah.
blah. But like for everyone to think how horrible of a vice president they were, and to now like they're the best thing since sliced bread. I'm like, wow, that changed, like it legitimately changed overnight. Like the views of that party changed overnight. I was like, holy cow, like this is crazy. Like I'm looking forward to see what unfolds. Like I think it's going to be literally like a Wild West shootout clear up to November 4th. Although I haven't heard much from Trump in the past like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. He stayed pretty
Yeah.
quiet. I'm sure he's getting counseled on how to approach this whole thing.
I think if he's going to have any success, I think he almost has to. I think as soon as he does some of that radical shit he does, I think then it's just like, dude, you're
I
doing so
know.
good.
I know
You're
you're
doing
you're
great.
doing
What
so
happened?
good, and then you did that. Like
Yeah. What the
don't do
fuck?
that. Dude.
It's like to
I
dealing with
know.
my fucking 12-year-old kid.
I do. I tell me about it. Like we have those conversations all the time.
Oh,
Like, and I'm like,
you
dude, you were on such the right path. What in the fuck were you even thinking? And
yeah,
he's like,
dude,
I
you're
don't know.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like you were killing it.
Yeah.
And then you did this fucking boat head move, and now all I
Yeah.
want to do is throw you in the pool. The
Just
fuck is
wait,
wrong?
just wait, Kevin, until he starts guiding your hunts, though. Like when you go out and hunt with him, like I mean, you and I have talked about this. Like when it's Luke's hunt, he leads the whole hunt, and I'm walking behind him. He's yelling at me for breathing too loud out of my nose and everything
Yeah,
else, and I'm like, and then when it's the next day, when it's my turn to kill something, this is usually deer because I don't take my kids elk hunting with me, and he'll sit down. We'll be at a glassing knob, and he'll pull out, the freaking aluminum bag of Cheetos and everything else. And I'm like, hey, how about you throw a party? Like that'd be all right. You got some balloons we could let loose? He's like, what? They can't hear this bag of Cheetos. And I'm like, you were fucking yelling at me for breathing yesterday. I mean,
oh, fucking
it,
karaoke machine or whatever,
dude,
right? So
yeah, no, and to the dads out there too, like I was talking with one of my buddies, he's like, oh, I feel bad, my kid wants to come hunting with us for elk, and I said, well, I'm out, I won't go with you then. And he said,
yeah,
why? And I said, I have hunts for both of my boys. Like my boys have their own hunts. Luke has his own elk hunt, his own deer hunt. Griffin has his own deer hunt. I said, but dad's elk hunts are dad's elk hunts. And I said, like I still have fun when I'm out there, but again, we just talked about how big they are. Like when elk hunting happens, there's a level of way more seriousness
yeah,
in my hunt than any other hunt. Spring bear, it's about the biggest party hunt you could possibly have for
yeah.
me. Like it's so fun. Like calling
Mhm.
bears in, shooting predators. I love bear hunting. I'm actually debating, like I'm giving myself to September 19th. And if I haven't killed a good bull by September 19th, if a calf walks in front of me, it's eating an arrow because I want to get out there at the end of September and shoot a big roly-poly fall bear for the fat.
Nice.
And I already told my wife, I was like, listen, September 20th, anything dies. And she's like, well, didn't you kill one of those cows on opening day that you had at like 5 yards? I'm like, because then I would have missed on 20 days of hunting a bull that I want to
Hmm.
kill. But I know I could kill a bear in the last 10 days of September before the season closes. So I, you know, hunt for a bull early, and then I just don't go by that adage like don't pass up on day one what you'll take on the last day, because the difference between
Well, I
day
mean,
one
it's a little
and
difference if you're like, don't pass up on a bull that you
right,
take. Like,
right.
I feel like there's a big difference of like if a 5 or 6 point walks out in front of you, you're like,
On opening day,
uh,
that thing's dying.
opening day is dying, right? It's a lot different than a
Absolutely.
cow elk walks out in front of you and you're looking for bulls.
100%.
Like, I think
Yes.
I feel
People
like those
interpret
are
it though, like, well, if you're going to shoot a cow on the 20th, just shoot it on the front. I'm like, no, no, no.
no, that
Yeah,
doesn't work
like
that way.
it's
I'm
it
out hunting bull elk, right? Like, you don't
absolutely. I
get it.
mean, the
Fuck.
the big motto right now in the fitness industry and stuff, and you've seen it with the influencers that are out there, like, don't have any boats. They always say, like, burn your boats. Don't have a plan B. Because if you have a plan B, you default to plan B, right? Like with people striving to achieve like athletic achievements or whatnot, like or even business achievements, whatnot. Don't
Yeah.
have a fucking fallback plan. Like cut that cord, let that boat ship sail off. So now you're doing this. You're gonna make it happen regardless of how the grind is.
Hmm.
And that's me until it comes down to like, okay, if I keep hunting bulls, then I definitely don't get a bear hunt. And I don't need another freaking head on my wall at this
Well,
point. Like,
yeah, I mean, but I feel like hunting's different, hunting's different, man. You got to adapt
yes.
and like throughout the year, throughout the season, like man, I've gone on fucking mule deer hunts that by the end of it, I didn't even want to hunt anymore. I was just
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm fucking sick of chasing fucking mule deer. Like I'm done. I
Yeah.
don't want to chase mule deer anymore. It's
Yeah.
like fuck, you know what I mean? You can only that's the beauty of hunting all these different that you know you get to hunt bear and deer and like you get to switch it up a bit. I mean, like, we only
Yep.
get this time once it's a short season. It's the
Yep.
fall. It's not like you're doing it all year. So, I
Well,
mean,
that's it. To me, I was addicted to swinging flies for steelhead,
mhm.
like up until about 7 years ago. And I remember one of my mentors said that time you hook a steelhead on a swung fly and it rips off downstream, if you don't get adrenaline and like
Oh,
that
dude.
huge pulse, like that should be the last time you steelhead fish. And I,
I
I
should
still,
show you some of the pictures of like up in northern BC along the Skeena River.
oh,
Some of
dude,
these fucking steelhead that
I
we
never
used to
made it
catch.
up there, but I mean, I moved to Lewiston to fish the Clearwater, Grand Ronde, and Snake Rivers. And I remember the last steelhead I caught was in 2017 on Christmas Day. I always went out and fished Christmas Day after the kids opened the presents and stuff from Santa.
Yeah.
And I was always blessed with a fish on Christmas Day. And for the entire time, 8 years down there doing this, I fished the exact same fly. Like I would bite it off, put it in the visor on my truck, and that fly's still in my truck. I put the spay rod away. It was a hatchery fish, so I bonked it and we took it home and I smoked it. But like I haven't pulled the spay rod out since Christmas Day 2017 because I hooked it and it was just this sense of calm, like, oh, okay. And there was no excitement. I think it's a pretty like good rule to live by. I think, if hunting ever gets that way for me where I don't get the excitement from killing a bull or a big buck or a big bear or doesn't even have to be big, any. Like you get
Hmm.
excited no matter what you kill. Like
Hmm.
the day that excitement goes, it's like, okay, I need to think of another pursuit
Hmm.
because then, because the adrenaline's awesome, right?
Yeah.
And so
Well,
I
the whole minutia of it, like the build up, the training, like I love the whole
I
process. Like
do
it's year
too. Like
round. You know what I mean? It's
11, 11 months of training for September
I
because
know.
my deer hunts are pretty benign and my bear hunts are a lot of cruising around on roads, glassing hillsides, and then you have to be fit to do it. But, it's one of those things that you're right. You train that. But I also think steelhead season goes down here. It ran from July until really March, right?
Mhm.
So that's a long season to swing. Like, and I've had this conversation with my wife a bunch. Like, elk season's 30 days. Like deer season, yeah, it runs a lot longer, but really prime deer season's like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
right? When they're in the rut. Like bear
The week
season, like
before and during the rut, like prime.
yeah, absolutely. And you could pick with bear season like what tactic you want to use, and there's a small window, a week
Yep.
or two of that. So really when you look at the entire year to hunt bear, deer, and elk, and I don't know about moose, I haven't done that yet, but like you have 2 months out of 12. So you have 10 months where you're not really hunting. So the build up, you're right, the build up, the training, the excitement, the preparation, I mean, the massive amount of thought laying in bed thinking like, all right, what am I going to do? And I mean, for me, I always formulate like, this is my plan A when I'm going to a spot. And does this ever happen to you, Kevin? You're going to your spot. You're like, all right, I'm going to park here. I'm going to hike in there. And you get up, you're drinking your coffee on your way. You're like maybe 20 minutes out and you're like, God, I just really feel like I should go to that other spot today.
Oh yeah, dude, all the
Like,
time. That's why I like hunting with my by myself because
yes, me too.
when I'm hunting with other people, especially when you go into like a camp
Yeah,
and you're like, okay, this is the plan tomorrow. We're gonna go up to this ridge and then, we're gonna glass into this area and we'll spend the morning there. And then like if I'm not feeling it walking in there, I don't
I'm
go
walking
there.
my ass back out.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
if
going
I'm not
somewhere else. If I'm not
absolutely,
feeling, but when you're
but
with somebody, you got to be like, man, I don't think we should go in there. Like, well, why don't you think we should go in there? And like, it's just like I constantly feel like you have to explain the reasons
and
why
I
you don't want
hate
to go
that.
there. And then they're like, well, I think it's going to be good. And you're like, fuck, well, like we already made the plan, so I guess we got to go in there. And then
Absolutely.
you're in there the whole time you're thinking, being like, fuck, I bet what's in
God,
my
you're
mind, like
you're
what's over
100%
here.
like you couldn't describe this any better. Like, yeah, let's go here. And then, but in the back of your head, you're like, fuck, I know if that other spot's gonna be money
Especially
today.
if
And
you go there and you don't see shit all day,
oh
then you're like,
fuck.
fuck, we would have seen
Yeah,
so many other deer over
exactly, dude. You're
there.
like, they were in the other effing spot this time. I had
Oh,
this
dude,
gut
yeah.
feeling, and yeah, I tend to hunt by myself. If it's not with Luke, there's only like really one other guy that I'll hunt with, and he's that guy that, and I've said it multiple times, like when you look up on a ridge and there's an elk a mile and a half away, and it's like 1,200 vertical feet to get to him, and you have 15 minutes of shooting light left. and nobody else in their right mind would say to go like we should go ahead and do that. He's a guy that he'd be like, yeah, we probably can't get to it. And I'd look at him and he looks at me and he just gets this, he has this big, he's a big Idaho beard. Like he gets this like little smirk because he knows I'm going to say, fuck it, we're going anyway.
Yeah.
And our ass takes off 1,200 vertical feet, trying to cover it in 15 minutes. And, it usually works out for the better, but
Yeah.
there's nobody else. Like it's just one of those things like, if he has a gut feeling, I don't question him. And if I
Yeah.
have one, he doesn't question me. Hunting partners that throw any questions out there, like the gut feeling is so important, man. I've killed more animals on gut feeling
Oh
alone
man,
than
me too.
anything.
That's why I can tolerate with my kid because like I don't give like we're going up here like don't ask why or what you're doing. Grab your shit and keep up. Like you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like this is what we're
Yeah.
doing. Like don't ask
Yeah.
questions. Just come along.
Yeah. And if you stay quiet and just learn and take it all in, you'll figure it out. Like somehow
Yeah.
you'll figure it out. Like, I don't know why my dad didn't go there, but he went here. And if he asks the question, a day, a week, an hour later, you're like, I just had a gut feeling. I don't know.
Yeah.
Follow your gut always when hunting.
Yeah, for sure, man. You see something changes, but all right,
Yeah.
brother. Thanks again for hopping on the show, brother.
You got it,
Real
man.
quickly, plug all your
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, so Cutrite mobile app, um, everything you need to know about field dressing. It's great modules. It's all downloadable to your phone, both written instruction as well as videos. Last year, we just had the long 15, 17-minute videos. This year, we've added the focus videos. So like the hindquarter videos, like 3.5 minutes or something like that. You can download them to your phone. So when you don't have reception, it's there. The butchering videos, just mirror it to your TV. You don't have to pay $500 to get your elk butchered. You can do it yourself. Like literally plan starting at 8 in the morning. You'll be done by 3:30 in the afternoon. Make sure you have saran wrap and butcher paper or however you want to spend it to freeze it. But I walk you through every cut, like in like it's real time. So, you can keep up. It's slow. You can pause it if you mirror it to your phone. And then, there's a bunch of recipes on there for wild game as well. So that's the Cutrite mobile app. It's wherever apps are sold, App Store, Google Play Store, whatever. It's, I think it's $15, a year long subscription. And we're always trying to put new content out. Check me out on Instagram and it's at Cutrite Mobile on Instagram. And I'll throw this out to all the listeners too. Like if you have any questions on like what you and I were talking about, Kevin, or before you go out and your hunt, like, hey, this is where I'm going. This is what it looks like. I can't tell you where the animals are going to be, but if you give me like, this thing's probably going to die in a really shitty spot, what would you suggest? Like, as my kid or the other kids say, slide into my DMs, send a DM over. When I did Jim Huntsman's podcast about a month and a half ago, I said that, and I think I ended up with like in the matter of a couple weeks, 70 DMs, and I respond to all of them. And if it's too long of an answer to respond to, I'll just send you my personal cell number and you can call me and we'll talk about it and set you up that way. And then we started a YouTube channel as well. This is new, and I'm going to post this probably tomorrow on Instagram. And the YouTube channel is Cutrite Mobile. And it's a lot of B-roll stuff, but there's also a lot of cuts for butchering and field dressing that didn't make the quality for the app. So like we don't have bear on the app, but all of our bear stuff is on YouTube, and it didn't make the app because we just weren't pleased with the sound quality on it and stuff, but we didn't want to just sit on this footage when other people could use it. So, all that's on the YouTube channel. We're trying to put together our video guy is trying to put together a couple kid hunts that we took our boys out on and stuff like that. So but yeah, check out the app. And like I said, if you have any questions, hit me up on Instagram and I'll be happy to get back to you.
Awesome, buddy. And for the listeners, just scroll down. You'll see all Mike's stuff. I'll put it in all the show notes. So
Right on,
thanks
brother.
again, buddy.
Well,
It's
let's
always a pleasure.
rendezvous after hunting season and go over some recipes.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
I love
Talk
it,
to you
man.
later.
All right, I'll talk to you. See ya.